Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Sunday's Talking Town. I'm, of course, your host, the Gov. Am I looking forward to discussing what happened yesterday? Well, I don't think I probably am, but here we are anyway. Going to try and deliver, as always, a top show for you all. If you're watching live, whether on X or on YouTube, please do get active in our live chat. I can see Tommy K, our resident Nottingham Forest fan, that we think is a Norwich fan, really, is here. Welcome in, Tommy. Hope you're well. I know you're probably going to be very well after yesterday. A fantastic display by you guys. Not such a good display by us. What on earth was that? Get active in our live chat. Give your thoughts, your opinions, your comments, your rants, your raves, whatever. They have a group therapy session. And don't forget, we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. If you want to help save lives, of course you do. And have the chance to win £1,000 every week. Again, of course you do. Well, play the East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery. By playing for just £1 each week, you're helping to keep their yellow helicopters flying. The East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery creates 18 winners every week with prizes ranging from £50 to £1,000, over 18s only. T&Cs apply, links in our description, but please, whatever you do, gamble responsibly. Cheltenham this week, talking about gambling. Did anyone have a little flutter on Cheltenham? If you did, how did you get on? I hear it was a week for the bookies. Rob Holmes says, strange atmosphere but yesterday, so flat, even from kickoff. I feel the realization of relegation finally reached the stands. Lots of praise for Karius. Lovely finish. Shame we've seen more of that throughout the course of the season, but it was a good finish from him, and a shame it didn't mean anything overall. Mike said, I think it's going to be a tough season in the Championship. Mentality and momentum brought us to where we are. We have absolutely none of that anymore. Okay, there we go. A couple of comments. Get them flying in. There's lots more to get to. Before I do, I am joined by Matt Phillips. Matt, how are you on the? I hear you got spotted on a public transport.
Yeah, I was travelled up with Mike Woods yesterday, so we got chatting to Graham and friends from East Sussex. So a big shout out to them. That's a hell of a journey, isn't it? Coming up from East Sussex to Suffolk every other week, and they go home and away as well. They were very optimistic before kickoff that we might stay up. Not sure how they're feeling anyway, but it was great. It was great to meet Graham and his mates.
I bet they're not now.
Yeah, just they even got me convinced that we might have a chance, but of course, first half minutes soon put pay to that, didn't it? So yeah, never mind. But great to meet him anyway. Good luck to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, well played for coming up. I don't think they'll probably be as positive now. We've got some great comments coming in. We've got a little bit of a mailbag from our Discord user, which we'll come to as well. Don't forget, if you're a Discord member or a YouTube member, you can get access to Discord, get involved with the conversation, drop your show comments, questions, and we'll try and get as many we can on through the show. We've got Michael. It says, Gov, I see after noticing Duncan from the Axe Griffin podcast, but never really speaking to him as he sits not far from you, that he is now becoming a regular on your podcast. Yeah, well, that's 2 and 2 from Duncan. Yesterday was excellent, right, Matt? Because he was on the show and he was positive as you like about how it's not mathematically impossible. We can still do it. All of this, right? And the moment the camera stopped rolling, he went up to me and went, I don't really mean that, I don't think. I was like, Duncan, you had me believing for a minute. I know you'd pop my balloon twice in a day. It's like, what's going on?
He's a good old school character, Duncan, isn't he? People won't have seen, but he cycles to Portman Road as well. So he's got a little one of them fold away bikes. He's got propped up next to Alf and comes on the camera. So yeah, it's great. I mean, he's great on Alex Griffin's channel. It's good to come over to us as well to give us his thoughts. Brilliant.
I've never spoken to him in like 3 years of him sitting 3 seats to my right.
Don't sound like you at all.
And then after half time yesterday, I think he wishes I never speak to him again. I spent the whole 10 minutes because McKenna sent the team out early. 10 minutes sort of talking at him about how our front three balance was completely and utterly woeful, which we'll get to. We'll get to through the course of the show. Some other great comments in. I've just starred LJ's comment. We'll come to that a bit later on, I think. It's a great comment there, LJ. And from Joe S. I appreciate those. Matt, first question I'll ask you, I guess, is we're sitting here a bit removed now. We heard you on the match reaction show. That's the immediate raw thoughts. But what are your thoughts overall sitting here on a Sunday, 1:05? Now you're a bit removed from the emotion, the adrenaline of yesterday.
I've warmed up. It was so cold in Portman Road yesterday, wasn't it?
You were wearing gloves. After having a go about our players wearing gloves, here comes Matt. He wanders over. Yeah. Like, Matt, you're wearing gloves. What's going on?
Yeah. I had Jaden Filler jeans on. Yeah. What are my thoughts? Well, no different really than I had when me and Mike were travelling up and chatting yesterday. I mean, It's interesting, wasn't it? Because Duncan said it's mathematically still possible for us to stay
Mm.
up. There was a comment in the YouTube I thought was very good. Have you ever heard of probability? It kind of just kind of, yeah, I've kind of agreed with that. Kind of just cemented it, really, doesn't it? I mean, we're done for now. I mean, we're nine points behind Wolves, 10 with goal difference, 9 games to play. 3 games all season, haven't won a game in 2025. I mean, so the writing is now on the wall for us, sadly. And, you know, I just had a little look at the stats, mine. The last 10 games, we've conceded 29 goals. That's nearly half the goals we've conceded all season. I think we're on 62 at the moment. We've done that in the 10, which is, I think, Fulham onwards. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because we very nearly won that game at Fulham, didn't we? Like you said. You know, you hit the post, goes out for a goal kick, we probably would have won. Rebounds back into play, they go down and get the penalty. And it just feels like the wheels have fallen off since then. I don't know if that was a catalyst.
Very much so.
To lose their confidence, lose momentum, whatever it might have been. Because I remember, like, we keep coming back to that Everton game, don't we? Where we was outside and I was like, oh, well, we're not going to get anywhere near 40 points, etc., etc. But my one highlight was that the second half of the season, once we'd played everyone once, might prove dividends for us and give us a foundational something to build on to move forward to finishing 17th. Actually, it's gone the opposite direction to that, hasn't it? Been terrible second half of the season for us.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like reverse, really, that everyone now knows how Town play. They don't really have a plan B, so they know how to play against us, and they capitalise. You know, that's what it's starting to feel like. Like, you know, that the scouting report is out on Town after the first part of the season, and we're not having the same success in any way, shape, or form now. And there isn't really a plan B, which
used to be one of your criticisms of Paul Cook, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was plan A. What's plan B? Do plan A again with different players.
Plan A, but with different players, and even plan A with different players is now becoming increasingly longer in wait time. I mean, yesterday was ridiculous. You send the team out early; they arrive on the pitch 5 minutes before the Nottingham Forest players. Okay, all right, that's a message. Get out there and show me that the first half isn't who you are as a team. But the moment it fell flat after 10 minutes inside that second half, or it hadn't responded the way you hoped, I was expecting changes. So to wait until 80 minutes baffled me, absolutely baffled me that you waited until 80 minutes. And what made it even worse in regards to how it looks is that inside 2 or 3 minutes of making those changes, we scored a goal. We looked semi decent for the first time in the game, moving the ball quite quickly at that end of the pitch, and we scored. So it made me even more angry, if you like, frustrated that, you know, we sat there for 20 minutes and waited for those changes. So even plan A with different players is becoming longer in wait time, which I can't understand.
Yeah, I suppose he was caught in 2 minds, really. I mean,
what 2 minds? You were 3-0 down, man. There's no 2 minds.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying, the game's gone, isn't it? The game's gone. So you could argue, what's the bloody point? What's the bloody point of making loads of changes? Because you're just bringing on, it's damage limitation, isn't it? As Colin said at full time yesterday, you're bringing Broadhead on with 10 minutes to go. What's the point, really? Because on hiding to nothing, as it was, we actually scored 2 in the last 10 minutes ourselves, don't we? But Kieran's got two massive. Well, Kieran's got 2 massive problems, mine. Basically, we can't. You know, all good. You know, to quote Brian Clough, apt with the opposition yesterday, all good teams are built on keeping clean sheets.
Yeah,
and we've conceded it over the last 10 games, almost 30 goals, 29 goals. We're conceding 3 a game, and then we don't have the firepower to score. We've scored 10 goals in 10 games this calendar year. And there is it. So you're losing every game 3-1 on those stats.
You are, but as somebody said in the chat, and I can't find the comment now. Oh, Joe S. McKenna has a very poor defensive record as a coach over the last couple of years. You should have expected it to continue this year. And Joe's spot on, really. If you take the goals against over the last 3 years, they probably amounts to a lot. We
did say that in the summer, though, didn't we? When we had Henry Winter come on, and we said the team, or what did all the teams that got relegated from the Premier League have in common? They concede a shed load of goals. I mean, we're veering towards Sheffield United 100-goal territory. I think at the moment we'd be trending for about 81 goals. At the moment, we're trending to finish on 22 points, which would actually have us finishing bottom if you take Sheffield United out of the equation last season. And we've spent 6 times the amount that Luton have done, and we're probably going to finish. At the moment, we're trending to finish 4 points behind them because they finished on 26, and we're trending for 22. That's massively disappointing.
It just surprised me that the lack of the change. I mean, Boy About Town says 3-0 down because he's become 6-0. The wrong changes too early. But I mean, you look at the changes he made. Broadhead, which a large portion of the fan base have been calling to start, so he's not going to make you worse. George Hurst, who many in the chat are now saying, is it time he starts over the lap? So, I get what Boy About Town's saying there, but equally, you're 3-0 down. I just felt like there had to be a reaction to being 3-0 down and not getting yourself back in the game. There was an argument really at half time to change 5 players. I mean, if you come out there and made all 5 changes at once, you would have said, well, that's not too harsh. I mean, they were 3-0 down, and
as it was, he did the Greaves change, didn't he? So this was basically it's making one player culpable for the goals, isn't he? He did this with
tactically. It was what was mentioned in the press conference after the game, wasn't it? I believe in terms of Greaves.
I don't believe that. Tactically is a line to feed to the media, isn't it? He was making one person culpable in Greaves, and he did this with Godfrey against Tottenham. We've not seen Godfrey ever since, and he did it yesterday. I mean, what's the tactical difference? You're replacing one left-sided centre back with another.
Well, that's what if I was in the press room, that's what would have been my follow-up question. What tactically did Burgess bring that you felt was needed at that time? Because that for me, okay, fine, you've gone. As you like, you've gone. Oh no, sorry, the sun's gone in. You suddenly disappeared on the screen.
Something's shining on me. It's not the Premier League.
That was a surprise. Mike D says, can't really judge. I'm not judging the subs. I'm judging the timing of the subs. Like 80 minutes just felt like a pointless exercise at that point. You were bang out of the game.
You're 3-0 down against actually a counter-attacking side, aren't you? So, I mean, we know that Nuno kind of shuts up shop a little bit with Forest. We saw that when they went 1-up against us at the City ground in the league game there. So I guess maybe 4, 5 or 6 was never going to happen. They only scored the 4th, didn't they? Because we'd pushed so many people forward that they was able to break on us. And
as Nuno said after the game, it put the game to bed at that point. That next goal was huge after you got 3-1. If you've got the 3-2, obviously the pace may get up. So as Nuno said after the game, that 4th goal really did put the game to bed.
What's the chances of Ipswich getting it back to 3-2 though, when we've just gone through them stats there? Don't even score a goal a game, pretty much.
No,
free a game ourselves. So we just, it just goes back whether the players are out of their depth, whether or not the recruitment's been good. Well, the recruitment hasn't been good enough, and Kieran's out of his depth, sadly. But again, I did say at the start of the season, Kieran had a bit of a free pass with me because we were so ahead of the curve in terms of going from League One to the Premier League. He deserved that opportunity to manage us in the Premier League, but he certainly won't have that's still my eternal conversation with you, Martin. Is Kieran going to be here this season? Because I feel like Ashton and Game Changer they've been loyal to the idea they've tried to create at Pullman Road, which is Kieran McKenna passing football. Is Kieran still going to be as loyal to Town when we're relegated and there's the offers of other jobs there? Because we've kind of sacrificed our Premier League status by not rolling the dice on getting, I don't know, like Everton did with Moyes, to keep within the model, the process. No one's trusting the process right now, are we? Because we're going, as you said last week, we're going down with a whimper. But I do wonder whether we've sacrificed Premier League status to keep loyal to Kieran, but will Kieran keep loyal to Ipswich Town in the summer? There's a huge question mark around that at the moment.
I believe it will. You've got no reason to question it. Obviously Palace were calling and he remained, and obviously teams in the summer and he remained. I don't think that's not a question for me personally, and I also don't think rolling the dice was ever going to happen this season. Regardless of what happened, I think we said this in the summer. Regardless of what happened this year, you could finish bottom with 0 points. It was always going to be 38 games of Kieran McKenna in charge, as it should be, as it absolutely should be. After the 2 years he's delivered, he had that opportunity. He has that right to have that credit in the bank, but that credit is waning. Whether you think it should or not, the longer the season goes on and you get defeated, it's like a bank account. You withdraw on that credit and you have to start again. And Joe says here, I think it's worth discussing whether McKenna deserves, which he does, another season with us in the Championship. I say yes, but we don't start. And Joe's sort of saying what I was telling you last week, if you remember on the show, when I was saying that there was this pressure cloud on the horizon where fans may accept relegation, but they're going to be really chomping at the bit to have a great year. And if things don't start well next year, as I said last week, there is that pressure cloud where it could turn a little bit. It happened to Burley, Burley. It could turn a little bit sour. So you're going to have to start well next year, whether you do or don't. But I think any talk of removing the manager is
let's not let's not sugarcoat this particularly. If this was any other manager at Pullman Road, be it Paul Cook, Paul Hurst, Paul Lambert, any of the Pauls, McCarthy, they'd be booing at half time, at full time. The people would want more changes. It's the fact that Kieran's delivered us so much
I agree.
that you don't get that. But if there's any other manager in Ipswich history other than maybe John Lowell and Bobby Robson, Alf Ramsey, and Kieran's got his place on Mount Rushmore with them, it would be a much more vociferous place, Portman Road, I think, at the moment.
Well, I said that to you after the game. I said to you after the game, didn't I? That, you know, any other manager, it would have been, you know, the talk of the managerial merry-go-round starting up. And I think had McKenna left in the summer and there'd been a new manager installed, and that was the type of display you got, I think very much so the conversation would be, this isn't working. There's no, and then all the criticisms about, you know, subs or plan B or whatever, they start coming out, and because you don't have that same allegiance, that same loyalty, that same love, that same anything for a new manager. So had he left in the summer, you would have perhaps even earlier than this would have been looking. But he is our manager, and he deserves that time. He deserves that season. He's learning, and he's learning on the job. It does sound like, oh, you know, a bit of an excuse, but he is. And
I feel sorry for him, to be honest with you. I feel sorry for him because, like, again, to quote Cloughy,
he doesn't help himself for me. He doesn't help himself. But by the way, I just wanted to quickly say before you jumped in with that point, is yesterday how great it was to see away fans coming up and respecting statues. Obviously, we're at the Sir Ralph Ramsey statue every game.
We took photos for him, didn't we?
Yeah, and it isn't a criticism of away fans, but very rarely do we get away fans sort of coming up to, you know, for photos and me having to move my stuff around so they can take better photos, which I absolutely don't mind. It was so good to see people, you know, coming up and paying those respects to the statue. It was great because you don't often see it, so it was really.
I mean, Ipswich and Forest, even though we're poles apart at the moment, of two clubs very that align and sync with each other quite nicely. Two legendary managers. Both used to compete at the top end of the Division 1. Obviously, Forest won it. Bobby didn't quite get there. Forest won it with Cloughy. Both won European honours. So I think there's a real kind of a sync and alignment with them. But I was going to say, to quote another Brian Clough thing, he used to say the most lonely time on the job when he was Forest manager was when they had lost Sunday morning. All that work you'd done during the week, he said it was a very lonely place. And I felt really sorry for Kieran in his presser yesterday, or the interview that he did with the club, because you could see how he was hurting. He said, you know, everything we've done during the week, lost in just 6 minutes of madness. And I feel sorry for him because, you know, at the end of the day, he has delivered beyond expectation times 10 for us. I mean, who would have thought when we started talking Town 5 years ago, we'd be in the Premier League right now? It felt like we was going to be in League One forever at that point, didn't it? And then to go through the Championship so quickly, you know, nearly with 100 goals, 100 points again that we've done in League One. So he did deserve the season. That's what I said at the start, he did deserve that season with us, but I think it's going to be a very different context if he's still with us next season.
Well, yeah, this is the thing, and but he doesn't really help himself, because if you look at the team yesterday, and we got a comment from Mike D on our Discord who says, "Why on earth play our best number 10 on the left, Philogene on the right, and Amari in the middle?" I know the game was gone, but we were better second half with Amari on the right. Defending was awful, and we're also awful at defending, and that's what I was talking to Duncan about 10 minutes straight at half time. That I couldn't believe and I couldn't understand why you had Jaden Philogene, who the whole fan is telling us plays on the left, he's better on the left. Amari, who's shown that he's probably better on the right at this stage of his career. He's not quite ready to influence games for a consistent period at this level, at this stage of his career. He will do one day. The ability is there, but right now he's not. And then Cisse, who's a 10, playing on the left. I couldn't understand it. It really was, you know, peeing me off, because you had almost a ready-made front three of Philogene on the left and Mari on the right and Cisse in the middle, almost, you know, round peg, square holes, or round pegs in round holes, rather. It felt like you had them, and that's what I mean. He doesn't help himself. Why play or set them up in that way?
I don't know. I mean, we said on the show Wednesday, didn't we? We were going through what the lineup would be. That was my three, I think. It made sense to have those three, you know, as you say, round pegs, round holes, but to go 3-0 down with them all out of position and then revert them back to those positions, just very, very strange. Very strange. Of course, we can't get into the press conference to ask him this. Whether or not he was asked, I don't know. But
particularly when you've got two left wingers on the bench in Broadhead and Clark, who, you know, are more naturally left inside 10 at this point than you feel in Cisse. It just felt like you took in Cisse out of the game, who, you know, can make things happen, and sort of played him left side where it was less involved. It just didn't feel like the balance of those front three was how it should be, and it really
not even that much experience in it. Actually, when you boil it down, they're all. Who's the oldest there? 22, Delap maybe. or maybe Philogene, a little bit older. It's a very young front four, that wasn't it? Very young front four.
Very young. And I want, and we've bought for tomorrow, not today. I really want to see something.
Said that a lot, haven't you? You said that a lot through the season.
Well, we have, haven't we? And we've bought for tomorrow, and we've neglected today, and it's what it feels like. Jaden Philogene next year may well be the Championship's best player, but right now, does he look a Premier League player to you, Matt?
No, I think he looks a luxury player. It's still not been explained to us why we signed him, and me and you did have a question mark over that signing, didn't we? And it's never really been fully explained why he was brought in. Because if you look at him at the moment, does he look any better than anything we've got in the squad? It's not improved the squad, is it? I know he's
right
scored.
Now, I'd argue he's showing less than Jack Clark has.
Yeah, exactly. So baffling. And you could just say that Alangru, who scores the 2 goals yesterday, cost 15 million, cheaper than a Jack Clark, a Jaden Philogene, and a Murray Hutchinson. He's head and shoulders above them two, them three.
Yeah.
That finish yesterday was sublime, wasn't it? But so we spent a lot of money on, 20 million. 20 million on the Jaden Philogene. Yeah,
and time, 2 windows, but a lot of time.
2 windows.
Tracking the player, then trying to move in for the player.
Yeah, very odd, very odd. I mean, they've been successful in spending 20 million on Philogene, yet couldn't get that third striker in to take the pressure off. The pressure off Delap. It's no surprise, we said on WhatsApp yesterday when he was going home. It's no surprise Delap's gone off form. It's probably knackered. He's 21, 22. He's played nearly every single game. He's had the whole of our striking options on his shoulders for the entire season. His first season in the Premier League. Not surprised to me that he's gone off the ball. And we were desperately trying to remember how many goals he'd scored in open play, weren't we, on the Wednesday show. It turned out it was Villa and Southampton, and the Fulham obviously was the penalty, wasn't it? We'd erased the Southampton game from our memories, of course. But it's no surprise, really. And as we were chatting with Colin after the show yesterday, Delap's stock has probably fallen a little bit. I mean, it's not had a good 2025. I mean, if you go from August through to Christmas, decent. But he's not looked a shadow of that player, I think, in this calendar year. And it's not a surprise, really, because he's had no foil, really. Because Hurst doesn't start the games, does he? So it's always on Delap. And there's no other quality to bring in to take the pressure off him, because they didn't get the striker in. But they seem to find 20 million for Philogene, and it didn't make any sense to me. Certainly when we thought Latte Lapa was going to come in, as it is he goes to the MLS in the States. Odd.
Yeah. No, yeah, incredibly odd. Yeah. Really, really odd. And it's really hard to not talk about the recruitment that we've made, Matt, and say it almost feels like they came up prepared to go, to go back down again, but be stronger in going down. And if they lucked out and staying up, great. Because it feels like, all of the recruitment has been about the 2 to 3 year plan.
Well, exactly. But they've not been that truthful, I think, with the fans in that respect. I mean, we've not seen Mark Ashton since his Southampton. Was it for the Southampton game? Did the interview with Matty Holland and Kieran? He tends to do this, Mark Ashton, as much as we like him and what he does. I see the planning permissions they've got for the training ground, which is going to be fantastic. But sometimes he does when he's not kissing the babies around Portman Road, he does go missing. You'll remember in League One when we went through that 4-month period of 11 points out of 11 games. And I was like, is Kieran done here? That wasn't that wasn't promotion form, was it? We're going down the table. As it was, we had to rely on Sheffield Wednesday blowing up and us having a good run of fixtures to actually go past them in the end. I mean, you could say we've not been lucky this season. We were lucky in that League One campaign, I think, really. But yeah, maybe they haven't been that truthful with the fans, I don't think, from that respect. Because it felt like, trust the process, we're giving it a good go in the Premier League, but the recruitment, as you rightly say, isn't ready for now. It's for next time.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. I don't understand it personally. I mean, I know people will tell me, well, what ready-made Premier League players were available, but that's really difficult to pin on a fan, because the fan doesn't get, agents calling them, doesn't get clubs notifying them who might be available, doesn't get the ins and outs, the process of the transfer window. Luton, and you could argue Luton didn't capitalize the Premier League year too much, because obviously they're sitting in the relegation zone in the Championship, but they managed to bring a couple of experienced Premier League players in.
Sparky was one, wasn't it? Well, Sparky was one who ends up going to Villa. They were I think they kind of showed their cards a little bit, didn't they? As we said at the top, I think they spent about 19.1 million from memory. They didn't get to 20 million. So it was kind of like the writing was on the wall for them. And obviously they've used their parachute payment money to start trying to get this new ground to close down Kenilworth Road and go to somewhere new. But Ipswich have been swinging for the fences. They've done 120 million, but now it seems like to me that, as you rightly say, you're looking at tomorrow, not today.
It just feels like to me, if you stay up, brilliant. But if you go down, which history suggests you may well do, you're going to have a really good championship squad that's going to be really good when they come back the following year, because they'll be further on their development and all of this. It doesn't really ever feel like they said, which is fine. That's their plan. That's the strategy, and that's fine. But maybe one or two, maybe they went too far. Maybe the balance, if you think of it as being a scouse, tipped a bit too far into tomorrow and not enough for today. And we are where we are. It's really difficult to see the thinking.
It's disappointing because we've been there the whole journey, haven't we? The 22 years since we was last in the Premier League, or whatever it was. Just to sort of just fail miserably a little bit. And it is, I didn't agree with you that we was going down with a whimper, but yesterday it feels like when you're shivering in the cold, it felt like we was going down with a
inside 6 minutes. It felt like that it waved the white flag.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
If it was I'm a celebrity, you'd be screaming, we're a championship team. Get us out of here. Hit the button quick. Hit the parachute. Boom.
Yeah, exactly.
It really felt inside 6 minutes. The bang. And let's talk about the first goal, because once again, it's a set piece. I sit on every single week and I talk about set pieces. I still don't understand how or why we've not addressed this situation. Because we've scored 5 goals from set pieces. We win a free kick outside the box, and all the fans go, "Right!" I'm sitting there thinking, "What have you seen that's given you any confidence? Is it going to be anywhere but the North Stand, the Churchman Stand, or the wall?" And their first goal comes from a set piece. It's a corner that we clear, but then we do not reset ourselves, and that is a big part of set piece defending. Is the reset.
Well, but there was a miscommunication that forced that corner in the first place, because Palmer comes running out.
Yeah.
Just drilled it. Cute didn't even get out of the way. Just drills it into Cute and goes out for the corner. That's what started it.
I don't think Palmer had to be there. He's made the decision. He's come for it. Fine, fair play. He's got there. I don't think he needed to. I think Kayus perhaps had it under control. From thinking back, I've not seen it back, because obviously on the highlight package they don't show that moment. It's not a big moment to show.
They don't defend the corner very well. Greaves heads it out, doesn't he? I think maybe to Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the box. Comes back in over to the far post.
2 unmarked players at the far post, because we don't reset ourselves, and that's a big part of set pieces, Matt. And this is why frustrates me just as much as had it gone straight in from the corner, because you clear the corner, fine, that's good. That's part 1 of your set piece defending.
Now you've got the second phase to deal with.
The second part is how you reset. You've still all got a job. You all can't just rush out to the one zone, because their players are still in the box. So you've still all got a job. And clearly that plan has not been carried out, or the plan wasn't good enough, because you've got 2 players at the back post who say thank you very much, and it falls into the middle and it's a goal. And it just really frustrates me, because we're not good enough at the things that perhaps are free. They're the fine margins that are free for any team, regardless of how much you've spent in the window, that if you get right, can result in big things. Wimbledon won the cup. We're a great team based on set pieces. And football's come a long way since those days, Matt. But it ain't come so far that set pieces aren't just as important.
Exactly.
Liverpool's got Google AI on the job. That's how much they value the set pieces. It's not good enough. Those 3 moments.
When Hudson-Odoi puts that ball back over to the far post and it's headed on by the Forest lad, Aina maybe it was him. It goes over Calvin Phillips, and then you've got 3 players there basically. It's Calvin, Liam Delap, Greaves, and Delap moves onto his back foot, so all his weight's onto his back foot, which means he now can't head it out for a corner. The only other option he's got is to randomly head it into the middle of a packed penalty area where the Forest lad scores. What he should have actually done was left it for Greaves to either steer it communication the halfway line.
Communication.
It was Milenkovic, wasn't it? Who got the goal. I mean, we've seen that a lot this season, haven't we? Clearances into the middle of the box. I mean, Greaves done it himself against Villa to give them an equalising goal, didn't he? He passed it across. So why? You're heading it into the danger zone. I mean, statistically, where are all the key players going to be on a ball that's coming into the box? In and around the penalty area, and Delap's headed it straight into there.
Yeah. Where's communication again? You've got to talk to each other. You know, if Greaves is in a position where he can do better, he's got to let, and maybe he does. I'm not on the field. I don't know what he says. Maybe Delap doesn't hear him, doesn't listen, whatever. But it's got to be better communication. Very similar to the third goal. Very similar to the third goal. Wolfie goes forward to win the header, doesn't get anywhere near it. Got to be stronger.
Chris Wood he was with?
Which has been a major critique of Wolf, isn't it? His ability in the air or his strength in the air in terms of, and that's why he doesn't necessarily go forward for like the long throws or whatever. But he doesn't do well enough in that moment. But Greaves equally is not covering his partner.
He's not. And you've got Greaves has pushed up too far, and you've got O'Shea thinking about Hudson-Odoi to his right. Therefore, you've now got a huge gap that you could park a London bus in for Alanga to run through and get on the right. But Greaves is now on the wrong side of him, the right side for Alanga, to just have a one-on-one with Palmer. And as soon as he was away, you knew it was going to be 3-0, didn't you? But again, goes back. We've been defensively terrible all season. Just as all the teams were that got relegated last season, defensively terrible.
Attackingly, we don't move the ball fast enough. We don't have enough ideas, and when we do win things like free kicks and corners, there's absolutely. I mean, to be fair, let's give the set piece coach, his due. He's come up with a couple of situations in the last couple of weeks where a goal should have happened. Delap, for example, he's come up with a well worked routine there that gets Delap free, totally on his own, and he's got to do so much better with that header. He's about 8 yards wide, free header. So to give Mark Hudson, the set piece coach, his due, that's a well worked routine. That's not his fault that they don't score that. That is a poor execution from a player who's got England aspirations. It's a free header. Delap, you've got to hit the target at the very least. Give us something to have the rebound for.
We better frame this. This is the Gov giving Mark Hudson.
You can't be critical without also saying when things are good. And he's come up with a couple of routines where we've moved ourselves in the box differently, that being one of them, that gets a player free. He's done his job. That's been lifted from the training ground. The problem is the execution on it wasn't good enough. And it wasn't good enough for a player that scored 10 goals this year.
I think our XG yesterday, taking the goals out away, it's 2 goals out of nothing, really, wasn't it, yesterday? I think the XG was like 0.4 or something. But we just, I mean, Amari had a chance, didn't he, from that corner? Again, he's on the edge of the box, again from a set piece. Yeah. Watched the commentary back the game where he should be hitting the target from now. It's just fallen well below the level. You parachute this team into the Championship next season, we'll look like world beaters. And everyone will go, why won't we like this in the Premier League? It's because we're going to be playing far lesser opposition. It's going to be the difference, isn't it?
You hope so. You hope so. You certainly do.
No guarantee. So. No guarantee, is there? But I hope,
No.
We've got to be. We've got, I mean, as we said at the top, we don't want to be doing a Burley and going down and suddenly it all goes pear-shaped. By October, the 3-0 at Grimsby is what done for Burley and brought Joe Rule to the frame.
Yeah, it's not a given, but Alanga was the player who scored 2 yesterday, wasn't it?
Alanga, it's his first brace in the Premier
player.
Quality player. I think he was originally at Malmo, Swedish. Originally at Malmo, went to Manchester United, didn't make the grade there. They picked him up in summer of 23, I think.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, he's cheaper than Amari, Jack Clark, Philogene. I mean, the finish for that goal.
Second
again, cut and paste it from Newcastle, Man United, down our left-hand side, cuts in, scores. We've committed too many people forward, haven't we? Cahuste and Phillips across the halfway line, rarity. Davis was trying to support Amari, wasn't he, by giving him someone to pass to on the left-hand side. Now he's overcommitted, and then we're having to track back. I thought, Cahuste played pretty well yesterday, I thought. I mean, bloody hell, we actually had a shot and scored. I mean, look.
Lovely finish.
Got a pig flying over my house at the moment. That's how shocked I was. Yeah. He should have got back quicker, really. I mean, he could have. Greaves was the guy with Alanga, wasn't there? I mean, he could have got there and supported him. Phillips is just so slow, and he tracking back. Might as well just stay on the bleeding halfway line. He ain't doing anything. And even if Palmer had saved it, Hudson-Odoi was in acres.
So the moment it left his boot, it was in. Yeah. I knew it. I was right behind it. I knew it. It was like really.
If Palmer had saved it, and parried it, it would have gone to Hudson-Odoi anyway.
It was such a lovely finish. It was that rare moment you see it go straight, and you're like, oh,
You'd have had a good view from your seat as well, wouldn't you? That angle?
It was a sickening feeling because I don't know how everyone else feels as a Town fan, but at the moment you go 2-0 down, I start to feel game over. Because I can't see the team scoring 3.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Well, just look at the stats. As soon as we go a goal down, the best we can hope for is a point. I mean, my prediction was hopefully would have been a 1-1, but I was hoping we might be able to get something out of the game. But again, Morsey sat on the bench, wasn't he? Creates the most chances from our midfield.
I thought he was going to come on, and then because he was stood up stretching, and then it was Jack Taylor that came on.
Keep the track top off. Yeah, he was warming up with short sleeves, so I felt he was going to.
We scored, and I wonder if McKenna decided that a midfield.
But this is the madness of it, isn't it? You've got your midfielders create the most chances, 15, I think we said in the week, sitting on the bench. You've got your 3 behind Delap. So Delap misfiring and out of form because he's knackered most likely. You've got the 3 behind him, square pegs, round holes. You've got a lack of creativity in the 2 in the midfield.
Your own choice, by the way.
Yeah, what was we really expecting? I mean, I've said to death on here, Phillips and Cuse, they don't really do anything. I mean, that's the first shot on target Cuse's had all season, isn't it? I can't think of another one.
He's been playing. His style of play has been different in recent weeks. He's been getting forward a lot more.
Yes,
We've discussed his roles throughout the team over the course of the season, and very much I think, using my very limited tactical knowledge, he's been playing more across the pitch as opposed to up and down it. But it was recent weeks he's very much been joining in with that attack, and we saw him pop up in his 18-yard box this week, and lovely finish. Shame we've not seen more of that through the course of the year because it was a sublime finish.
We said right when we signed him, we had I think it was Danny from the Napoli pod in North America said he's got a pretty decent shot in him, and we'd said he'd scored a couple of worldies back when he was playing in Scandinavia and in France, but barely he had a shot. Couldn't believe it when he shot yesterday, and it went in.
And by the way, you mentioned the lap out, misfiring, which you're right about the front 3, but that's again your own choice. You had you could have started how you finished or came out the second half, but you didn't for whatever reason. So you're playing players arguably in the wrong positions through your own choice. Again, that I feel those midfield 2 are the better midfield 2, but you can't argue with stats, as I said on the match preview show. So there is that huge argument for Morsey to play, and you've got your best centre half playing right back. When you've signed a right back in January to act as cover, we all thought for if or when Axel goes down injured. And you're playing your best centre half at right back when your right back is going to sit on the bench. It just feels like a real strange transfer, that Ben Godfrey.
Yeah, really strange.
Each passing week.
Yeah,
like
very odd.
What's he going to do to play?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've bought a lone player and it isn't even playing now. I mean, what's the point? You're paying him. I don't know what. I mean, he must be on a fair whack at Atalanta, I'd have thought. Team that had won Europa League last season and gone into the Champions League, surplus to requirements, so he comes to us. I thought that Axel being out of contract would probably be let go because his injury record's terrible and has been this season, on and off the pitch, sadly for him. And Godfrey would probably be the replacement for him, but he's featuring now. So it'd be very interesting to see if Harry Clark, if Sheffield United go up, whether or not he will want to be part of that team, and will they feel like they can get someone better, or Harry will come back in and be our right back next season. Interesting. I mean, we'll find out in the summer, I suppose.
It's also, I think fair to point out that when we have seen Ben Godfrey, it hasn't been vintage displays, but equally, think about the games we've seen him. Tottenham, when he's asked to go one-on-one against a world-class player. Man City, when he's asked to go up against Doku. Like, he's hardly been, put into the games where he's had to deal with lesser quality players.
Well, he's in, didn't they? They made his debut against Bristol Rovers in the Cup, didn't they? Which was like,
Well,
but I mean, that's like a nothing game, wasn't it? Nothing game compared to the 2 players in Son and Doku that he's had to mark in the Premier League. Yeah, strange, very strange. Again, we don't know the reasons why he's not featuring.
Okay. All right, I'll drop the link. You can come on and have yours saved. Don't forget we are part with Stowmarket Osteopaths. Give Freddie a call. Don't live life in pain. 01449613633. Freddie's the governor there. Tell him I've sent you from Talking Town. Give Stowmarket Osteopaths a call on 01449613633. Before anybody potentially does join us, and maybe Frank will jump on this week and hopefully have better technical success. Got a comment here from I've got Owen, who says, is now the time to start George Hurst either alongside the lap or as the sole number 9? Got his goal yesterday.
Good header. You enjoyed that header, didn't you? You like those kind of goals, don't you?
I wasn't there to see it, so I don't know. I was setting up as it was deep in stoppage time. Yeah, everyone knows my rule by now. More than 2 goals either way, I'm out there by 88 minutes setting up.
You weren't alone. I'm not going to get down. I'm not going to go down that route again.
Well, no, funny. You're not going down that route this week, are you? No, but, there's plenty to say about fans leaving early, mate. Do you want to jump into that one?
I was still there, shivering. I was still there shivering, but yeah, certainly people were going on the 73rd minute mark.
I'd have left early.
I've had my say on this one, so I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, look at this! It's strangely and surprisingly quiet this week. I wonder why. But I would have left early. Had I not done a show, I would have left early.
Well, it was bloody cold for one thing. There were people around me in shorts yesterday.
Yeah,
it was like 3 degrees or something stupid, wasn't it?
Braver people than I. That's
Trevor's put in the comments there what you're alluding to.
I am alluding to the fact suddenly you're quiet this week on fans leaving early, and I can't possibly put my finger on why. Maybe Trevor's hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, yeah.
Good work, Trev. But no, I would have left early. You don't have enough family time during the week. What with school and work, I would have gone home and seen my family. I'd have gone home and done my birds. I'd have gone home and watched the Six Nations, despite not really liking rugby. I'd have gone home and played tiddlywinks. Anything at some point yesterday would have felt better than wasting what precious social time or free time you've got on shivering in the cold. I can't blame fans leaving early.
Depends how you got to Pullman Road, doesn't it? If you're walking back to your home, fair play. If you get in the train, you might be able to get an earlier train. If you parked at Pullman Road, you could be stuck in your car for the next 45 minutes.
Well, you wouldn't be at that time, would you? You wouldn't be at that time. It was helpful. I mean, I do, in a way, wish people would leave early more often, because getting home last night was a dream. It was an absolute dream.
I'd imagine when I was thinking like last night, it was 30,000 yesterday, wasn't it? 3,000 Nottingham Forest fans. So you won't have that many allocation in the Championship. We'll probably lose 1,500 or something. You just want to see Premier League teams.
Do you think they will reduce the size of the press box again? Because you won't have that as
assembled press. I don't know. I mean, they've built that as to the Premier League standard, haven't they? So I mean, that's going to be there regardless, isn't it? So I don't know. But I mean, again, Martin, we go. This is the stupidity of it, really, isn't it? We go down to the Championship where we want to be contending for what? To get back into the Premier League again, of which everyone doesn't like anyone. He's leaving early.
Well, this
so actually in this kind of cycle, aren't you?
This leads into another comment. But before I lead into that comment, in answer to Owen, what would you say? Time to start George Hurst or not?
Yeah, give George a run out. Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, I would say there's an argument there actually to start playing Morsey and Taylor in the middle, because Phillips ain't going to be here next season. If the rumours to believe he's going to go back to Leeds, Gusto would go back to Napoli and go off and play in the top flight somewhere. Push the mark around his fitness, wherever that would be. I would be giving Jack Taylor as much time as I can now of Premier League matches in the last 9 games to get him ready and give him some momentum going into the Championship, of which I think he's going to be a key player for us. I see Craig putting now, I love the Premiership map. Me too. Me and Martin love it as well. We're just not good enough to stay in there. This is the problem.
Yeah. By the way, I think I saw a post this morning, a little clip from Darren McAnthony's podcast where he says, Town will probably win the Championship by 10 points next year. Which was a nice way to wake up on a Sunday morning.
Well, we've said a couple of times, haven't we, in the last couple of weeks? It certainly feels like it's going to be a weaker Championship. I've got a friend who's a Leeds fan. I said, make sure you get promoted. I don't want you lot lingering around next season. We want them gone. We want Sheffield United and Burnley promoted. And Luton still buggering about in the bottom 3, looking to go into League One with their parachute payments. So you'll have Birmingham come up, most likely Wrexham as well. So there's a little bit of financial strength there coming up, but it certainly won't be anywhere near the level we had to be at to get promoted into the Premier League last season.
No.
Leicester docked points, I would imagine. Southampton rebuild, don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, they've still not surpassed Derby's record yet, much to our friend Martin's annoyance.
Well, apparently they played Wolves yesterday with 5 defenders and not a striker, apparently.
Yeah, odds, didn't play a striker yesterday, did they? I mean, that's still, you talk about things sticking in the craw, but what have we given them this season? 4 points?
Too many points. Yeah, 1 would be too many, but there we go. Mike D's on Discord. It's annoying me how many fans are saying, I can't wait to get out of the Premier League. We're in the best league, watching the best players at Portland Road. Why do people want to go back to the Championship? I really don't get it. What would you say?
Well, so, I mean, look, sometimes it is the journey's better than the destination, isn't it? But I mean, look, who would have thought we'd be in the Premier League when we started, as I said earlier, when we started talking town? It felt like from here to the moon, didn't it? It felt that far away. And Kieran's done fantastically well, which is why I don't want to be too critical of him in this as we prepare for relegation. Really, he's done a fantastic job. Ditto Mark Ashton, everyone involved with the ownership, they've done brilliantly. Look how they've even transformed the stadium from basically a bit of a shit tip into a Premier League ready stadium. I mean, that 3 Lions bars have appeared in the level below me on the in the Pioneer stand. I mean, I'm sure that's a fantastic thing to go to. So chalk and cheese from when they took over. But yeah, we've got to make sure that when we come back to the Premier League, we're in a position where we're able to compete. But I don't think the Premier League is set up in a position to allow your Ipswiches, Southamptons, Leicesters to compete because the gulf is so big. That's the difference. Ipswich are a good team. Let's not lose sight of that. We played Coventry. We blew them away in the cup. And that's a team that's in the top 6 of the Championship, I think, at the moment. And we blew them away. But the gap between the Championship and the Premier League is too big. And it's too big because the way the Premier League is set up, in terms of the financial windfalls, all the clubs that will constantly stay up, you're forever trying to bridge a gap. It's almost impossible. Now, whether or not they'll look at that with the 3 going down this season, being the promoted sides, ditto last season, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that.
Well, why would they look at it? Because the other 17 are going to be happy about that, aren't they? They're not going to be bothered.
You pretty much got a closed shop for 17 clubs, haven't you? It's forever now. Like to me, now whether or not Leeds will be able to buck that trend if promoted, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe. I mean, let's not confuse having a big name with having the financial power to compete. I'm not sure they will. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they take on Calvin Phillips full time. You know, what would be the fee and what would be his wages? Because that's been a huge thing for us, hasn't it? Just to have someone of the caliber of Calvin Phillips to come in, and we don't know what wages we're paying him, if at all. I don't know. I don't know what it is. We've paid a loan fee for him.
Equally, if I was a Leeds fan, I'm not quite sure I'd be happy with that transfer being your first bit of business.
Well,
he's hardly, he's one of our better midfield players, but we're all talking about needing to, really upgrade our midfield room next year, regardless of what league we're in. And if I was a Leeds fan, I don't know if I'd be delighted, doing somersaults if that was our first signing. That's more a sentimental, based on history signing than it is just a form right now signing. He's hardly ripping it up for a TAM team. It's getting relegated, is he? He's not like he's not smashing the assists or the tackles or whatever.
I think he's a great character, but I think he's too slow. I mean, just watching him come running back for that Alanga goal, the second goal yesterday, just so slow. I really like Calvin Phillips. I just, if you want to stay in the division, which what does he bring to the table? This is the thing now. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, I really like Cahusta. I really like Phillips." What do they actually bring to the table? What do they actually bring to the table? Look at the stats. And then Cahusta's now got a goal. Phillips has got a goal in the cup.
Yeah.
Neither seem to contribute attacking wise for me across the course of a season, to the extent that Taylor in his cameos has done, and as Morsey has proved that he has done.
Yeah. You can't argue much with that. I'm just thinking about the comments coming in about the Premier League and what you've said about being sort of a closed shop starting to happen. And I think you've got to really approach it maybe in the way that the club have, and that's with a plan of 2 to 3 years. If you do get relegated, you come back stronger. You come back stronger each time, and you come back better, and you bridge that gap. Slow. I
don't see how we come back stronger, because we're just going to be in the same position, surely.
Well, you won't necessarily need to spend, or if you do spend that much money, you can spend them on maybe ready-made Premier League players. You have a squad, a foundation. The players are obviously be a year older. They'll be further on their development. They'll be better. All these different things, but because we did come up, back to back from League One, we did have a foundational squad of a League One mid-table championship squad. Really, we flew through the championship on momentum, on quality, whatever But for Premier League levels, the foundation necessarily wasn't there. It will be the next time. I think you've got to yo-yo and come back each time stronger, because very rarely are you going to stay in the division. It feels like first time every time now, and other teams have done that, come back stronger.
It'd be interesting to see if they do a deep dive on Bournemouth, how they went up, got relegated. I think it's Gary O'Neill, wasn't it, who brings them back up? I think might have that wrong. Scott Parker was involved in there somewhere. Maybe he got them relegated. Gary O'Neill brings them back up, and obviously Ariola then comes in and has put them up to another level. It'd be good to see if Ipswich do a bit of a case study on that, to see how to do it. But I mean, again, we've shot ourselves in the foot, haven't we? The Muric mistakes has cost us lots of points. We're 2 up at Brentford. We lose 4-3. I mean, 2-1 against Bournemouth. 1 up, minutes ago? We've had opportunities. The 4 points we've gifted Southampton. We've had opportunities in our own hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you can, buck the trend and be a team that stays in there first time, brilliant. Absolutely, that's great. Everyone wants that, but I think you have to really start to look at it as being a 2 to 3 year project, because the quality is such a big jump, and we'll see how Leeds get on, if or when they are promoted, because they are a good side,
They are.
But you could also say, if you looked at Leeds United in the same way you look at Southampton and Leicester, they all came down at the same time. Southampton and Leicester have really struggled this year. And they're arguably more a Premier League side than Ipswich Town should be, because they've been there more recently, but they've struggled worse than we.
One's won the title. One's won the title in the last decade.
So if it wasn't, if it was Watford, for example, or a Norwich, or another team that had been there more recently that didn't have the gravitas name of a Leeds, you would arguably be looking at them and saying, well, why would they not struggle the same way Leicester or Southampton have? Because there's nothing to say they should do any better other than they're Leeds United and they're arguably a bigger side. And
Farke didn't pull up any trees when he was managing in the lot up the road in the Premier League either. It would be interesting to see if he would last the season there. I doubt it somehow, when they lost faith of him after a season in the Bundesliga with Mönchengladbach. So, I mean, that'd be interesting.
And in terms of what the question, the comment from Mike D was, I absolutely do not want to leave the Premier League. I don't understand anybody, and I don't understand the journey is better than the destination stuff. Because I remember sitting in the Championship for 14 years thinking this journey is an absolute load of insert whatever swear word you want there. It was not fun then, was it? It wasn't the greatest league in the world then, was it? When we sat in there for 14 years just bobbing along like a duck on the pond. It was horrible.
Water, it was. We were just treading water. I mean, it got worse, didn't it? Go down to the third tier, and then the rocket ship was built. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to stay in the Premier League, wouldn't we? But we're just not competitive in it, as it's proving. Teams are too good for us, and we've made ridiculous errors ourselves. Yeah.
It was an horrible league, and I don't want to go back to it. Games every other day. People are just, as LJ says, they're just remembering last year and the the adrenaline and the endorphins you get from winning. That's brilliant. But I'm old enough to remember when we didn't win every single week. It wasn't fun, and you could literally talk to anybody in your stand because they sat so close to you. There was no one there.
I mean, it's been worse, hasn't it? I mean, the Paul Hurst era and then into the Paul Lambert one was what we're experiencing now, but in the Championship, the level below.
Yeah. If we go down and win every single week like next week, next year, like Sheffield United have, or Burnley or Leeds or whatever. Oh, there we go, Mr. Chair. That sounds like my weekend. They're great, but I equally don't want to leave the Premier League. It's where the best players play, where the most exposure for your football club is. The most money, and the longer you spend out of the Premier League, the more the gap gets bigger. And then you might as well. Why follow football if you think the destination is not worth it? Because when you go down, you're not going to play for fun. You're going to play to get back in the Premier League. But if you think the Premier League's not worth being there, then go and watch another sport. Because
exactly.
What's the point, right? It would feel hollow to me anyway. If that's how I felt. But I love the Premier League. I think it's just a shame we're not going to be here longer than 12 months. In all honesty, and people will say it's not over, but. Come on, it's over.
Oh well, it's I described it the other day as trying to climb Mount Everest with flip flops on. It's just not going to happen, is it? It's just not going to happen.
It really isn't. It really isn't. Sean, what if you were in the press room? What questions would you ask McKenna? What questions would you ask McKenna?
Well, we've covered them here, haven't we?
Yeah.
The square pegs in round holes. 3 behind the lap yesterday. Why he took off Greaves. I mean, we could be here all bleeding day. Why they kept faith of Muric for so long if you're looking over the course of the season, given he still tops the table for...
Is he injured?
For goals. He's got a bad shoulder, hasn't he? He's had an injection in his shoulder, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, God, we'd be here all bleeding day, wouldn't we? But, yeah.
Well, I just do... It'd probably be more follow-up questions, like when... Like yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly that he did say, Greaves was a tactical, I'd want to follow that up. I'd want to know what Burgess brought to the game at that point that wasn't good enough to start the game, and then how tactically you changed. How did you change tactically? Because
it was no change tactically there, wasn't it?
I would just follow that up. That's what I would. It'd be more follow up questions for me. I wouldn't sort of just take it and go, okay, move on. If you were afforded the opportunity, it'd be a follow up question to whatever has been like. A couple of weeks when he said about Muric being a young goalkeeper. I probably would have challenged that. Because yes, it is young in goalkeeping sense, but it's not Kieran Slicker age, is it?
No, exactly. And who knows what the law of the press conference is when you're actually in now? I mean, you know,
Well, you know more than I do, but
well, exactly. Yeah, well, journalists will be briefed. Certainly, from when I think back to my own experience in these situations, but journalists will be briefed on what can be said, what can't be said, what to steer clear of, what the manager's prepared to answer. It's not just everyone just turns up. There's a whole choreography.
I wouldn't know. I've never been a part of a media.
There's choreography behind it all. The relationship between the press team and the journalists.
It's like a dance routine with diversity. You know, you go in there, you left foot left, right foot right, arm up, arm down. I love diversity. What a group, by the way. Like one of the greatest acts on British Got Talent, diversity, right?
We saw them in Banter at Southend a couple of years back. It was very good.
Like, and every time you see a video of diversity now, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm still consistently shocked that the young boy is now an adult. Like,
he's like 6 foot tall now, that kid.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah.
I mean, you see a video, you're like, that's never.
Yeah.
How
very talented. Yeah. Very talented.
Group. Harp says Enciso was poor yesterday. Gave the ball away far to his stupid blind flicks. I can kind of agree with Harps there. I wasn't massively in love with any of the performances.
He's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? In Says Martin, you like to call him the magician. But let's not forget either. He's only just turned 21. He's young as well. Very young. He's still finding his. He's come to Ipswich because injuries derailed his chances at Brighton, where he was doing very well. And he's come.
But that said, Matt, it is a loan signing. But had you spent money on him, he would be, I think, getting criticised the way Jaden Philogene is. Had Jaden Philogene arrived on loan, I don't know if he'd be getting the same level of criticism. I think because it's a large outlay on Jaden that people are critiquing it. Because Enciso hasn't, I know he's been injured, but he hasn't really done an awful lot in the games that he's played that you would think, when we signed him, you had me believing we were signing the second coming. Like, you were like, we're going to really give it a good go now. We've got Enciso. This is a great signing. And I was moaning to you about no striker. You're saying, don't worry, relax. We've got Enciso. It's all good. I'm thinking, wow, this guy must be really good.
He is really good. I mean, he scored some fantastic goals for Brighton, but let's not forget, what was it, his second game?
Well, can he do it for us? Can he do it for us?
Liverpool. He played Liverpool, then he played, was it Southampton after that? Villa. He gets injured in the Villa game.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, the problem we've got with Jaden is he looks like he wants to be anywhere else other than at Portman Road wearing a blue shirt playing football. Be shopping with his missus in town.
Disagree with that. I think
his body language is odd to me.
Yeah, but I think it's purely down to the fact you spent money on one and one's a loan. So you look at it very differently through different lenses. You know, you look at it with Jaden, you go, that's 18 million quid or whatever we spent. You look at it with Enciso and you go, he's on loan. Like you look, it's very much a different.
It looks like he wants to be there. Do you know what I mean? I'm not getting that vibe with Jaden, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure if he's with us next season, it means he's already moved loads of clubs already, isn't he? He's had a lot of clubs already, loans and transfers.
Equally, Matt, there's an argument, and I know we've got guys waiting. We're going to bring you both in a second. There's an argument to say that it was almost passing to Jaden. Yes, they felt allergic to most of the team. It was an acres of space, particularly for that first half, and we just didn't find him. It was almost like it was a training exercise where you must not pass to Jaden. So work the ball. Yeah. If you use Jaden, you lose a goal because we just couldn't find him for whatever reason. There was opportunities to go out to the right and we didn't really make the most of it. Our decision making at times wasn't great. Right, we'll bring in Frank. Frank, welcome in. What's your thoughts? Oh, I heard myself twice. Oh no, Frank, you've done it again. Frank, this is a YouTuber, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, Frank. Come on.
I can't work out what's going on there. So Frank's getting some feedback from you there, isn't he? So
which is never great.
No.
Never hate it. I always hate hearing my own voice. No, I don't want to hear myself once, as most of certain parts of the internet will tell you. Right, we'll try. I won't say where. Everyone can guess where. Right, Owen, let's try you. Well, we can bring back Accrington. Not quite, Owen, surely.
Nah, it's a lovely away day. Very easy from up here in Leeds. It's a nice train journey. Very pretty, surprisingly. But no, not seriously. It's just a little bit. It's a little bit dour at the minute, isn't it? You know, you've had all the excitement of, we're finally back in the top flight. It's the first time we've been back since I was like 10. So I was very excited. And it's just ripping the joy out of football. And and I messaged one of my mates the other day. He messaged me going, in fact, it was last night, just going, I think you're down now. And I was like, we've been down since the Southampton game. But Yeah, it's just a bit miserable, and the fact that the only conversation that most of us can have now is, well, how right we do in the Championship, and I think we'll do all right, but yeah, it's not where we want to be, but it's where we're going.
What was your expectation, Owen, when the season started? When we had people coming on here saying we'd finish mid-table, we might even be pushing for Europe. Me and Martin were a little bit more realistic on those expectations. But what were yours?
I thought we'd be anywhere. I thought we'd be in the bottom 6, but anywhere within it. I just hoped that it'd be a little bit closer than it is now.
Yeah.
True. I think we're not unlucky in this sense, but at least last year teams were getting points deduction, so it was keeping the Premier League relegation race exciting for a few more weeks.
It might still happen. It might still happen. Man City.
This man keeps telling me, Man City, you're going to get dropped points. And I keep telling him it will never happen. And I keep waiting. It's been like you told me Enciso would turn our season around. I'm still waiting, Matt, on both things. I
like how you're blaming me for Ipswich's downturn here.
Absolutely. I get blamed for Raheem Harper not being the Rolls Royce I said he would be. So you can.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, people don't let you forget that, do they? Well, McKenna, for you, Owen, do you think he's been below par this season, or is he just playing the hand he's got? What do you think? I mean, a hand that he's created, by the way. I mean, these are his players. Yeah.
I think he has been unlucky in that we have had a freak amount of injuries. So that's not helped. And whenever players have started to get in a good vein of form, Smodics was starting to look really good away from home, especially. And then he's out, comes back, he's out completely. Chaplin was finally getting into the team and was looking decent, got a goal, and then he's out. But a lot of it is his own doing, like going out and I don't just want to pick on players, but like what might have been if we had Palmer from the start of the season, for example, instead of Muric and saved a few million. But he's got his scouting team who are going on specific attributes, and it doesn't seem to be on the actual players. At least that's how it feels. And just going by what numbers they tick, whereas perhaps I know a lot of people give the fisherman stick on Discord, but I'm fully in agreement with him that I think Cam Burgess would be a lot better of an option than Jacob Greaves at the minute. At least he can defend. Whereas I think
good golden period, didn't he, around that kind of Spurs games? That was November, wasn't it, going into Christmas? Burgess was really good in that spell. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, but then he just gets dropped. And it's the thing, it's like, because McKenna spent money on players, does he feel like he has to justify picking them by picking them? So then when the players have actually performed throughout the season, Calvin Phillips, for example, a lot of the time I think has been a better option than Morsey, but he stuck with Morsey for ages when I feel like a lot of us were going blue in the face, going, "What? It's not working." I mean, at this point, God knows who'd be any better at this stage, but, you know, let's just sign Cahoust, get him permanent, and I'll be happy.
I'm not sure he's got the legs for a championship campaign, and this is the problem.
He'll be fine.
He would be a very good player in the Championship. I don't think
he would.
Although he did recently play, 2 or 3 games in a week to showcase that he can do it, which is good.
It'd just be typical this season that Cahoust is now showing some fitness as it's coming to its conclusion.
Yeah, I did. Shop window.
Yeah,
I did
exactly.
At the start of the year, it felt like a Sixto Peralta situation where we're all going to fall in love with him. All going to fall in love with him, and sadly not going to be able to close the deal and get him back again next year. It felt like that then, and I don't think I've changed my mind now. I genuinely do think that.
For me, they just don't do it. I don't know. You probably won't agree with this, Owen, but we've probably discussed this on Discord as well. But for me, Phillips and Cahoust, they don't do enough. I mean, when people go, they had really good games. What did they actually do? We'll run around for a bit and pass to their teammates. They're not actually driving the team forward for me in a way that Morsey does.
When you compare it, when you look at the Palace game, I know Adam Wharton's a bit of a freak player, but even I think was it Lerma he had alongside him, and they just looked. They were compact, and when they got the ball, it was going forward and it was decisive. I think Cahoust tries to get things going. He likes to do his little pirouette and run from deep and create things. But and Phillips, tidy player, but he's not got. He had a bit more of a when he were at Leeds, and obviously I went a few times with like lads who are little big Leeds fans, and that he had a bit of nastiness about him. He had a bite about him, and he'd still play with that smile on his face, but there was a bit like Morsey. He'd have that just a bit of a killer edge to him. Whereas it kind of feels like he's just happy to be there, and that might just because of the injuries he's had and the lack of form. But he just, I don't think there's many who pulled up trees this year. But at the same time, we are where we are, and those 17 clubs above us are all a lot better. So, you know, we can spend 15 million on the lap, and he has been a massive success. I'd say the last couple of months, I'd kind of like to see George Erskine now, whether alongside him or instead of, just to give him a little run, because whenever Hurst starts, he scores. I think that's pretty much been the case this year. So, yeah, I think there's been a few successes, but it's just been
a tough year.
Yeah, it's just been hard work.
Yeah. All right, Owen, we appreciate you jumping on. Really welcome you back. Don't leave it so soon, so long next time. All right, you look after yourself.
You too. Cheers, lad.
All the best. Hopefully, we'll be back on again soon. Love having Owen on, and I want to challenge you really on that midfield too comment.
I'll go on then,
because I really do. You know, I hear what you say, and stats in certain players makes it hard to disagree or argue. But I do feel if you had even a slightly better functioning 3 ahead of the 2, you would feel a whole lot different about that midfield too. Because you had a lot of the ball yesterday again, but once again, you get to a certain point, you stop, you come back. We move it so slow. I was screaming from the sidelines to move it quicker. Even from throws, where we win the throw high up the field on the counter, we slow it right down. We're a slow team, but I really do feel.
Don't you think Tuesday and Calvin contribute to that slowness?
No, I think the front 3 being as we said midweek, Matt, you could play any number of players in those 3 positions because nobody's in form or nobody's quite ready at this level yet. Whatever you know your argument wants to be on that, and I do generally feel if you had those 3 players ahead of those 2, just playing slightly more in form, you'd feel differently about that midfield too. I really do think that. I think they're getting a lot of the flack because the team aren't performing when they're again yesterday you weren't overrunning midfield. You at no point did I think, oh my days, we are being overrun in midfield, they can't cope, get another body in there or whatever. Even at Palace, they had 10 minutes at the start of the game, but I didn't feel like the midfield 2 were being overrun.
That's a good point. Interesting.
We hold our own. The problem yesterday certainly was getting to a certain point, and that point was Leif Davis on the left. It would always get to Leif Davis on the left. He'd have nowhere to go, stop, put his foot on the ball, check it back into Greaves, who turns around, passes to Wolfie, or passes to Palmer, and we go backwards again. We're so slow. We have found Paul Lambert's asthmatics now.
Well, let's not forget the highlight of yesterday was in central midfield, wasn't it? That Dominguez up and down, wasn't he, with the ankle injury? There's nothing wrong with you.
That's when you know it's bad, really, when you've got to make your own sort of entertainment, as the crowd were doing there.
Funny,
funny.
Then he got a yellow, didn't he, when he stood up? Just stayed on the floor.
It depressed me a little bit because it kind of felt, it felt a bit like equivalent of, we scored a goal, that chant, when you go away from home.
It's the gallows.
When it's you've got nothing really to cheer about, so you're gonna find something, and as fans you got to. I've got no problem with the fans doing what they did. I thought it was quite funny. Just almost depressed me a little bit, thinking it's probably gonna be the highlight of the day.
Yeah. It was. Yeah,
which just is depressing when you spend 150 million quid. But there we go. All right, Frank.
No, Frank. Frank on.
Frank doesn't know what's wrong, so I've just told Frank in the chat to email me and we'll get together during the week and I'll work it out.
I feel like we need a Frank poem to cheer us all up, don't we? That's what we need.
Do we? I mean, we do. I mean, I'm laughing because I'm thinking, what on earth could Frank pen about the current?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, we're on an international break now, aren't we? Your favourite time of year, Martin. Maybe we do need a little break from the town.
Well, I was
just to reset ourselves.
Do you know what? That was a highlight of mine when I was told this morning that you haven't got a game for 2 weeks. I was like, what?
Yeah, because the FA Cup follows, doesn't it? Yeah.
Get in 2 weeks without having to watch your team get absolutely obliterated in 6 minutes. It takes 6 minutes these days. It was a half 3 months ago. Now it's 6 minutes. By the time we come back, it might be 30 seconds. I mean, we're getting shorter on the capitulation.
We've lost the game in 2 minutes against Bournemouth, didn't we? 1 up.
Very true. Very, yeah. 18 days, says AD. Oh, 18 days of
Oh, there we
bliss.
go. It's like a little holiday.
Oh, where should we go?
Warm weather training.
Yes. Yeah, watch out. Warm weather. Yeah, we could do that. Podcasters going to need warm weather training.
We'll go down to La Manga.
Lots of tequila sunrises need to be sunk, particularly after yesterday.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
we're done. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for being with us, whether live or on catch up. We always appreciate it. This man here has been Matt Phillips. He is off to put his feet up and enjoy.
Carabao Cup this afternoon. Newcastle, Liverpool. I hope Newcastle win. Because we've discovered how much they love the town when they came to Portman Road, and I think it'd be good for British football to see Newcastle win a trophy.
If you think I'm going anywhere near football,
you're going to be out with the budgies, aren't you?
Between now and the next 18 days, you've got another thing coming. It don't exist as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to know how good another team is doing because we're not doing what we need to be doing, and it depresses me a little bit.
I'm sure we'll be back for a show at some point. Like and subscribe, so you can get the community posts where Martin will tell you what the updates are. Come into our
probably next Sunday. Probably next Sunday. We like to swoop in and have a conversation about something. I'm sure there'll be something
to chat about.
Of course we will. Of course we will. Anyway, we're done. Sharon shall miss us. See that? So we'll come back. Don't worry, Sharon. We'll be back before the 18 days. There'll be a show at some point. Do not worry. Probably when we're bored of these vacation days. There's absolutely nothing to do. Because it's raining next weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be getting up to sort of 14, 15 degrees again.
During the week it is.
But
there
we go.
There you go. We'll be back next weekend. Anyway, we're done. Matthew Phillips, I've been the Gov. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Become a YouTube member, $4.99. Cancel at any point, but come and join the conversation on Discord where more group therapy often happens, or rants and raves, or me just complaining about set pieces. That happens quite a lot. Not that anyone listens anymore, but I still do ask for changes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. God bless. All the best.